Everyone, this is Lamin Sane of LSWAT, and in this video I'd like to touch on a topic which I've been asked quite a few times already. Okay, and the question is, how do I learn a programming language quickly? So it's not general questions that I've been asked, but people ask, how do I learn Java quickly? How do I learn Ruby? And how do I learn PHP? So this is just a general guide as to how to learn any language quickly. Okay, so there are many programming languages in the name of Ruby, Python, PHP, C Sharp. The list goes on, and the big one these days is JavaScript. Okay, so how do you come around learning a language? Right, so you have to bear one thing in mind, that every language, even though it can do many things, but is geared towards a specific thing. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So there are some languages that are meant for front end, what you see, the public facing. And what comes to mind is JavaScript, even though JavaScript can do backend, but it's mostly used for front-end work. Okay, so there are other languages like Python, PHP, and Ruby that are used for backend work. Okay, so let's say, for example, you want to learn a new language, right? Let's say Ruby. We have to think, what is Ruby meant for? The first number one important thing that Ruby does well is building websites. Okay, so it's a backend language for building websites. Okay, so you want to learn Ruby. All right, so let's say you come across Ruby on Rails. You want to learn Ruby using Ruby on Rails. So even though some people will tell you learn the language first and do not learn any framework, but I would say actually learn a framework, then go back and then learn the language as it is. Because as you are learning the framework, you're learning the language implicitly on the way. So with that out of the way, let's say you decide that you want to learn Ruby on Rails and your intention is to understand Ruby. So pick a task, get a task that you want to carry out. So let's say you want to build a blog or a to-do list. So have a really specific thing that you want to build, because what's worse is trying to learn a language and learning everything about it. You will be confused as heck. Trust me, I've been there. So let's say you want to build a blog. Have that in mind. You want to build a blog. So what does a blog have? A blog has a list of posts. At the very minimum, a list of posts, and each post has a title and a body. At the minimum, those two must be there. So think of how you can set up the framework. So go to the website, or if you have a bit of money with you, I'm not doing any advertisements for Code Academy, but these are very good websites wherein you can learn Ruby on Rails. So there's Code Academy, and then there is Khan Academy as well. So these are websites, the sort of websites that you pay. Khan Academy, I believe, is free. Yeah, so there's Code Academy as well, and yeah, there's YouTube. So have yourself a quick crash course on that framework or language, in this case Ruby on Rails, and then see how you can set up Ruby on Rails. Write down the steps that you need to complete your task. In this case, we're talking about building a blog. So what do you need to build a blog? First, you need to set up Ruby on Rails. Secondly, you need to figure out how to connect to the database. Third, you need to figure out how to insert data into the database. And with that, I mean set up a form, and then if you submit the form, it has to enter data into the database. So figure out how to do that, and then now that you've known how to enter any data into the database, you have to set up a form that lets you enter a post title and a post body into the database. And then if you've completed that, obviously a blog needs a list of posts, so figure out how to read the data from the database so you can list it out as links, and then figure out how, when you click each link for the list of posts, how to display the data, that is the title and the body. And then you can move on from there on to more complex stuff like comments and maybe Ajax and a whole bunch of other stuff, login systems. Those are all optional, but at the bare minimum, figure out something you want to carry out. Do not just go around and start digging into the documentation and reading everything, because you can read all you want, but if you don't sit down and actually build something, it's not going to stick in. Just take it from someone who's been there. And yeah, I like doing reading a lot. I used to be that guy who reads tons of blogs and watches tons of videos, but as I went along and progressed in my career, I realized that I actually have to start building. So I watch a little bit. I'm not saying do not read or watch videos. Of course, I do YouTube videos. Obviously, I wouldn't be doing them if I didn't think they were a good idea. But read and watch videos a little bit, then go ahead and practice what you've learned. But just don't practice that. Try to have a goal in mind. Maybe if you've watched one of my videos on Laravel building a file upload, try to build one yourself, either using my videos or maybe exploring a little bit on your own and seeing how you can build your own file upload version. Okay, but make sure that you always have a specific goal in mind when you're learning something new. It doesn't have to be just Ruby or Ruby on Rails. It can be a Python, it can be C#, but break it down into small tasks, but have a bigger goal in mind. In this case, a blog. Okay, that will help you a lot. Having an end goal will give you a sense of fulfillment and like done status. Like if you've done the blog, you're like, okay, I have completed something. But what's worse is that you're on an adventure and learning, but if you don't have that sense of, oh, I have completed something, as a beginner, you will feel like you haven't achieved anything, and that can be detrimental to your learning process. Okay, so always have a goal in mind when you're learning something new. Okay, so that brings me to the end of this video. I hope it was helpful. If it was, please subscribe to my channel and share the video so others may benefit as well. Thank you for watching. I will see you soon. Cheers. Bye bye.